Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Twice as Hard. I am your host, Janelle Benjamin, and I'm here today with Katrina Strohl. Katrina, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself.
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to be here today. Again, my name is Katrina Strohl. My pronouns are they, she, he. I'm a psychological safety consultant, boundary strategist, mental health advocate, and podcast host. And I am thrilled to talk about why Black women have to work so damn hard.
I'm really thrilled to have you on the show. You are a podcast connoisseur and you know all things podcasting, and I want to talk about that just a little bit and how it's been for you, working super hard because I see you doing all the things. Tell me a little bit about your show and how it's been going for you.
So my show is Absolutely Not, and it's about setting personal boundaries at work and the vocabulary needed to name harm in those spaces. It has been going good, I feel like it's been going pretty good. And I think that's because of the hard work I've been putting into it. But I've seen, don't even let me get on a tangent about podcasts and how the space is dominated by white men and mediocre white men for that, and how they can just put out the most blandest shit and get sponsors and get y'all seen Joe Rogan, but for my space in particular, I feel like it's been going well.
That's really good. I want to talk about that notion that we have to work twice as hard as Black women, right? And you've kind of pointed out some of that when you refer to men like Joe Rogan and mediocre white men who aren't doing all the things that we're doing. And let's unpack that a little bit and how it's showed up in your life. Like, where has that notion originated for you that you needed to work twice as hard? Where did you find that out and first discover that?
I think when I was born, I was raised in a Black and Samoan family, and both of those cultures, it's very much you see those kids do better than them. But what they're not saying is the underlying, you need to do better because of the color of your skin. You need to do better because of the texture of your hair. You need to do better because the people who are assessing you, who are in places of power over you, are thinking less of you. And so because of the messages of just, you need to do better, I internalized that as wow, I'm not doing enough. In some way, shape, or form, I'm just not doing enough. So I need to do more. And it just wasn't healthy. It's not healthy. And anytime you see somebody who doesn't share your identities not doing more, you're like, the fuck is going on? I don't understand, because nobody told us the underlying messages.
Right. And so tell me, I guess then, how has working twice as hard served you over your career?
It served me fairly well. And I'm going to talk about the military a lot because when I got out of the military, my white counterparts, specifically white leadership, they were very covert about their racism. While in the military, they're very no, we're racist here, and we definitely don't think you deserve what you're working towards. I remember distinctly, I got Junior Sailor of the Year. It's a very big award for over 250 sailors, and I was chosen for that award. And then I was put up into a program to become an officer, a fast track program from enlisted to become an officer. And you have to sit on a board, well, several boards. The board is full of old white men. And one of the first questions that they asked me was very blandly, do you think you had to work harder than anybody else to be here? And I was a young woman at that time, and I didn't know they were being sarcastic, rhetorical, very just you shouldn't fucking be here. So I answered the question. I said, yes, I worked very hard. I got way more qualifications than the good old boys on the board with me. And I still thought I wasn't going to be here. And their eyes dropped. They look like, how dare you? How dare you answer the question that we asked you? It was so very strange to me, but that really opened my eyes to oh, y'all really don't think I deserve shit, no matter what I do.
And have you found that present in other workplaces that you've been in, or was that unique to that place?
One of the first organizations I worked for was a local government office, and I was an HR administrator. And I remember busting my ass. I created their first training program. I created their first diversity, equity, inclusion program. I created their first everything because an office full of older white people. And I was just like,
Mhm.
y'all are missing the mark on a lot of things. Like, and still, I had someone come into my office, walk past my reception desk, or I had like a cubicle. They walked past it, went right into my HR director's office to tell her that I dressed unprofessionally, that my hair reminded her of bedhead, that the fragrance that I exuded in the office was a little bit too strong. So no matter what I did, I still wouldn't be seen as good enough or as contributing enough to the organization.
Wow. And so what, I guess, in what ways has the notion that you need to work twice as hard hurt you then? I mean, it sounds like you've received some direct communication, right? Some microaggressions, but are there other things that have happened to you as a result of just having to work twice as hard over your career?
Yes. So in 2018, I decided to take my own life after internalizing the behavior of an unsafe work environment. And that was them telling me I wasn't earning my paycheck, that I wasn't in the office enough. I had just gave birth to a whole child, a whole human being. And they said I wasn't doing enough. And it's the idea that Black women should be able to like bounce back up, not feel anything, and put that damn cape right back the fuck on, even though you're going through life. And I internalized so much of that to the point where I thought, wow, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing enough. And I took my own life.
Oh my God, I really, you've just stunned me. Um, I'm really stunned. And I don't know why I'm stunned, because it's not that I myself haven't been in toxic workplaces and seriously contemplated suicide. I have, as a result of workplace harassment, bullying, and most recently termination. I've even had a job offer rescinded, and all of these things caused me to think, would my family be better off without me? But I'm really stunned that you actually made the attempt. And I guess, for the viewers who may be there, right? I'm sure lots of Black women watching who want to know, why you might have taken that action. I understand, you're going through the toxicity, the hostility, but what was happening, I guess, around you that was impacting your mental health in addition? Was there anything, or was it exclusively the workplace?
It was very well at that time. I attached so much of my identity and so much of myself to my work.
Right.
So it was very easy for just one message from work to tell me that I wasn't doing good enough, to crumble me as a whole human being. I had no boundaries. I had no mental health priority, like nothing. Work was it. That's where I got everything, all of my validation, everything. And there are a lot of people that look like me, share my identities, who do the same thing, because we've been told from such a very young age, like, if you do this, you're living. That's living. That's what life is. It is not. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, the joys of discovering, that the toxic implications of the workplace are not serving us, and moving past that. How were you able to come from that dark place to where you are now, glowing and blossoming and doing all the things and doing well?
It took, I was hospitalized for the suicide, multiple attempts. And after that, I received diagnosis, and I started building a support system around those diagnoses. I learned fairly on that a lot of the mental health practitioners could not validate my experiences, could not really tend to what I needed specifically, but I was able to grow in my mental health journey and my journey of self-advocacy. So that's why I do the work that I do today in self-advocacy, because even when I was looking or researching on boundaries and mental health, the picture for that is like thin white women central. Like I cannot resonate. So I had to create a resource where people that look like me, who have shared my experiences, can resonate. And so, yeah, that's how I got out of that space.
That is amazing and powerful. And I'm just wondering, like, did you have to learn that on your own, or was it that the practitioners around you were that good at coaching and counseling and providing you with that education? Did you sort of maneuver yourself out of where you were, that dark place? Or did you have some help and support along the way?
So I actually was featured in a documentary on major depressive disorder that follows like after my suicide attempts. And the reason I had to pull myself out of that dark places, like I said, I was a fairly new mother, and my child was going to be taken away from me because of my mental health state. And having grown up in the foster care system and in an abusive household, I refused. I could not allow my child to go into those spaces just because I couldn't find worth within myself.
What's the name of that documentary, Katrina, for the viewers who may want to find it?
It's called Reaching the Light, and I don't think it's like they're supposed to put on YouTube soon, but it's on onemind.org.com. One Mind is the organization that featured it.
Wow. So, I mean, we've chatted a little bit about some of the implications of just horrible workplaces that push us to the limit, make us work so hard, and then don't appreciate us or value us in the end. But I guess what would your guidance be to Black women? Let's start there. What would you tell Black women to do or to not do in order to avoid just that stigma, that notion that we need to work twice as hard as our counterparts in order to be successful?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would never tell Black women to do anything, but I would encourage y'all to really start measuring the weight of your capes and how long you've been wearing the cape. My cape has been on me since I was born, like I said, and some of us haven't even realized we've been wearing a cape and that we've been trying to save everybody and their mom and try to be like a career woman and balance all of the things. It's just not possible. There are no such thing as superhumans. The fact that people believe Black women are supposed to be superhumans is ridiculous. We are normal ass humans who deserve the same love and respect and validation as any other fucking human being. So yeah, start measuring your cape and really assessing whether or not it needs to come off. Spoiler alert, it does.
And then tell me a little bit about, I guess, all the work that you're currently doing, the ways that you're currently working twice as hard. We know that you're showing up in the workplace and in the place in different ways. I see you on LinkedIn. You're really engaging. You've got your podcast, but what else are you working on that you want to share?
So I actually don't work twice as hard anymore. I try really hard not to work that hard. A lot of my posts, just so y'all know, to keep it 100, is they're scheduled. Like I do work on specific times and specific days. And before we started this conversation, I mean, even in other conversations, I'm very honest about what I need in conversations and what I need from interactions and what I need in communication, because I will not work twice as hard anymore. If you want me in that room, you're going to work too. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not carrying whole relationships for people. And so that's kind of part of the work I'm doing. I have to do a lot of internal work to make sure that the work I'm doing externally lines up and is aligned.
And then what should corporate leaders do differently to make sure that Black women don't have these experiences, you know, that we don't have to show up and work twice as hard, and our mental health doesn't have to take a hit or a toll? What would you say?
Do the internal work. Like how I'm doing internal work, you need to be doing it as well, and really redefining your shit. So if your definition of professionalism doesn't look like me, doesn't sound like a cussing Black woman on a podcast or a video cast, then you need to redefine it. If your definition of what hard work looks like a Black woman, or like looks like Black women should be working twice as hard, redefine it. Because this, or if you're not giving an equal scale to everyone, redefine it. Take a look at your processes and your policies and make sure that you're giving the same resources to everyone. I just want to give a quick list of Black women who have been killed after calling mental health resources during a mental health crisis. And that is Natasha McKenna, Tanisha Anderson, and Michelle Cusseau. They were all diagnosed and in mental health crisis and then murdered by the people who came to them for help.
That's happened a lot in Canada as well. There's been wellness checks even through the pandemic, and the police are showing up during a wellness check and killing people. It's happening in the Black community, but it's happening in the Indigenous community as well. And it's so tragic. Where are those cases, Katrina? Where are you located? I know you're in Texas now.
Mhm. I'm in Dallas, Texas,
You're
and
in
I
Dallas?
actually am unaware where these cases occurred, but
Mm,
they were all Black women that were murdered while in mental health crisis. And it is a firm reminder to me that I'm very lucky to be here. And had I
mhm.
not had um, the experience of I've had, I have a excuse me, I am a veteran and I carry that identity with me. So it allows me to get different resources and it allows me to get in different rooms. And because of that, I'm able to still be here. So it is my duty and my honor to say their names and to continue to talk about the crisis that occurs in Black communities having to do with mental health.
And you mentioned that you're a veteran. What were some of these workplace experiences that you've had while you were sort of in the military?
Yes.
Oh, Katrina. Now the plot thickened.
And it's the
What?
same plot. I mean, that's the oldest employer of like all time in America. Like the US military is really freaking old and it's like OG performative. So yeah,
Mhm.
there's still a lot of problems in the military.
So if you could say something to your old bosses, what would what would you say? What would you look at me
Um,
now? What do you feel in your heart, or are you just sort of past it and the trauma doesn't linger anymore?
I mean, no, the trauma always lingers, but there's somebody that comes to mind. My first squadron when I joined the Navy, uh, the highest senior enlisted person there was a Black female, a Black woman. And we all like fawned her. We all thought she was like God. And um, one day I was in the hangar bay and I had just finished like working on a jet and I took my helmet off and she did a flip, a U-turn in the hangar bay to come talk to me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. She's gonna give me the keys to the castle. She's gonna tell me everything I need to know to make it to the top. She pulled me all the way to the side and told me that my hair was embarrassing and that I needed to fix it.
Another one, not the same person from the last time.
But what I would say to her is just, and she was a Black woman. So what I
Okay.
would say to my younger self, I guess, at the time, and what I say to myself constantly is like, just because somebody looks like you doesn't mean, I mean, it doesn't mean shit. Like, please figure
Right.
out what they're about, like learn what they're about, because I've had my heart broken like a million times by people that look like me and people that don't look like me. So
Mhm.
really being concrete about what I'm about so that when I meet new people or that I meet people who want to collaborate me, I can definitely be like, okay, we are not about the same thing. I will have to go. But
Mhm.
what I would say to that woman from sorry, I got off track. But what I would say to that woman is, fuck you. Like, how you gonna get the keys to the castle and still be like that? You're still
Right.
upholding the all of the things that we're trying to be. You're not doing that by telling me to fix my hair and by not
Mhm.
fighting against the type of regulations that are in place that don't allow me to have my natural hair. So yeah, fuck you.
You're wearing a head wrap today, but I will attest that your hair is absolutely beautiful.
Oh.
I'm like, I fangirl over your hair when I see it all out with all the curls, and it's amazing. That Simone and Black girl magic is it's awesome.
Thank
I
you.
want to thank you so much for being a guest on the show. If people want to reach you, Katrina, I know it's Katrina Strohl, STROHL.com. And yeah, they can find you on LinkedIn as well. That's where we connected, and it's been absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. And I want to remind my viewers to click like, share, and subscribe down below. And we'll see you for another episode of Twice as Hard. This has been great. Thank you again. Bye.